This video was sponsored by Power Circle Clothing and Headbusters Food Company in association with Cook Up Unlimited.
Cook up, Power Circle, we get the check. Then it's more what them feel like, you know, say you're the baddest thing, hey yo, run the tune.
Movies that changed my life. Take one. Okay, movies that changed my life. If I could pick a movie real quick, I would say Krush Groove. Yeah. Krush Groove, I was about 2 years old when it came out. So I'll say between age 2 and 3, that was like the first movie I ever memorized, like word for word. Like most kids grew up on cartoons, like you had your Bugs Bunnies, your He-Mans, and whatever it was at that time, you know what I'm saying, in the 80s, you know, we had the favorites, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong, we watched cartoons too, you know, I love the Tom and Jerry's and all that good stuff, but I was a movie buff. Like my pops, he used to, you know, he was like a movie head. He used to watch like all type of kung fu flicks, hit all type of different types of movies and all that other times, but then it came Krush Groove. Yeah, I know some of y'all like, you know, like some of y'all thinking. Krush Groove was, for hip hop heads, you know, that's basically the Russell Simmons story slash the Def Jam story in so many ways, with a twist. It was one of the dopest movies I ever seen. I mean, I might have been young, but you know, looking back, like I always watched that movie. Like as I grew up, that was like one of them movies you watch. Like if you've seen it once, you watched it over and over and over again. But that movie was where I guess you could say that's when I fell in love with hip hop without even knowing, or just the culture period. In our eyes in the 80s during the, you know, as far as in the black communities, like New Edition was like the modern day Jackson 5. In the 80s, it was like the boy band, the whole nine, so that was like the Genesis and them, so that was like a little nugget. Then you had the Fat Boys, then you had Run DMC, then at that time, Curtis Blow was the man. Sheila E., Full Force. Before the house party, y'all know Full Force being on house parties.
We're gonna get you fucking in.
In Krush Groove, they was Full Force, so you had like all these different hip hop groups. Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, and the list goes on and on. Like LL Cool J was the young LL Cool J. You know what I'm saying? Like you saw him, you saw Rick Rubin, the actual Russell Simmons, but not playing himself. You saw Blair Underwood, you know, actually played Russell Simmons. And maybe a couple other artists I'm missing, but it had like, you know, everybody from the original BET, like Donnie Simpson. See, a lot of the shorties don't even know who Donnie Simpson is. Like us 80s babies know, you know, everybody familiar with Video Soul and all that. So at that time, we had like all that. So growing up with that, then hearing all that dope music and playing it. And I had my uncle was a big Run DMC and Fat Boys fan. He played like all the popular stuff, but my pops, you know, and everybody else that was playing in the street, it was LL Cool J and all these different guys or whatever at that time. But it all started from that movie, you know what I'm saying? Like that's how I got to know who Curtis Blow was. Everybody knew who Run DMC was. First rhyme, I'm the king of rock, it is my heart. You know, I mean, every song you was going on with it kicked off. That's the first song it kicked off with. So that's how you knew King of Rock word for word. So it was almost like a musical too, but it also told a story. When I seen it, I got bitten by the bug. I got bitten by the culture. It wasn't just discovering hip hop for the first time, discovering the culture. All, you know, just all together, just born into it, because before that, it was Stevie Wonder. Stevie Wonder is my favorite artist. Before MJ, like Stevie Wonder was my favorite artist first, and then Michael Jackson and everybody else. With Stevie Wonder was just my favorite. So it makes sense. Krush Groove was one of its kind. Like even to this day, it might have been a replica too. It will never be made like that again. You will never see them like that. Like I have yet. I don't think you could. What you saw is like you saw the unity there. Like the whole vibe was there. So to kind of recreate that, I would love to see something like that. So that's why I say, well, movies that changed my life, I gotta start with Krush Groove. That's the first movie that did it for me. So me being a kid would watch that movie every day. So it was Krush Groove and Dolomite for me, just out the gate. Fright Night. We'll get around to that another time. You know, as a kid, you don't know better, but you fell in love with the music. So it was fairly easy. So as I grew up, year after year after year, and even to this day, like even my daughters, I have a 10-year-old, and she's fascinated with like things of the past. You know, like she's big on like Michael Jackson and all these different groups, but she ended up having a fascination with watching Krush Groove, sort of like how I did. So, you know, we have a movie night. This is just a quick story. You know, me and my kids, you know, we have a movie night, and I let her pick the movie. What did she pick? Krush Groove. Krush Groove for me is like the gift that keeps on giving. I'm 37, I'll be 38. Man, I'm almost 40 years old. My daughter is 10. The movie came out in 85. And this is the movie she picked. Like literally, I watch this movie every day. You know what I mean? So it's like the movie will always be there. So that's like one of those movies, one of those cult classics that stand the test of time for sure. That's why I say, you know what? Krush Groove. When I started the movies that Saved My Life series, I thought, you know, like, yo, I can't start it without talking about Krush Groove. Krush Groove is one of those movies where not only you sung along with, everybody was singing, you know, doing what kids do, man, singing nursery rhymes. I was singing actual rhymes. Like 2-3 years old, I'm doing actual rhymes, like memorizing. I knew I was good at memorizing. And my mom's told me a crazy story how I was good at memorizing things. And I still got a pretty good memory. At that time, that was like the first movie I ever memorized front to back. Like I wasn't trying to, but it just kind of happened. I used to watch it so much that I memorized the whole movie front to back, knew when it was coming on. I knew, like, especially because, and it was pretty easy to do because it had all these music numbers throughout the drama and telling the story. That's what made it cool. You know, the characters in the movie was like superheroes, you know what I'm saying? While everybody's reading comic books, I was studying hip hop. It just, you know, like, and I think that's the one thing about hip hop is it's the one genre of music that just automatically consumes you. It don't matter what era, even if you study the old era. That's why you see a lot of different things just coming out and repeating itself over and over again. And that's what Krush Groove was for me. Getting a chance to know all these cool characters and all the storylines in between there, and just learning all those songs word for word, knowing when they come on. You seeing like what the MC was, and you seeing what a performer was. You seeing what a host was. You saw the blueprint of promoting and throwing shows, the blueprint of running a label, and all this stuff was being planted and subconsciously put in me, just seeing that. And you know, as you get older, that's when the story, you start to understand the story. So for people that were actually of age and understood what was going on then you know, it's a no-brainer. But for me, that's what was one of those movies. Like I said, I'm an 80s baby. Was born in the 80s, grew up in the 90s for sure. But I gotta start with Krush Groove, hands down. So just imagine from 85 to now, I've been watching that movie ever since. Never stopped watching it to this day. And I'm pretty sure my daughter, she liked the movie. I don't know if my other kids like it, but she made them watch it. You know what I'm saying? So she might be watching it and then they gonna share it. You know, some people watch like The Christmas Story, Roots. But for me, it was Krush Groove. So movies that changed my life, Krush Groove, hands down.
Y'all all know my slogan. Keep God first, stay sucker free, and by all means get to the money.